Coahulla Creek Football Show, presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Homes.
Hello and welcome to the Coahulla Creek Football Show, presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. I am Brooks Carter, joined by the head coach, Drew Carter. Welcome in. Bear with me, guys. I have lost my voice over the weekend, so it's maybe a fight to the finish here. Thank God I'm not broadcasting on the radio Friday. We've got CW Chattanooga coming in to take care of that for me. But welcome into the show, Coach. It was I'll say a hard-fought victory or a hard-fought loss on senior nights. Kind of a slow start, which has been an Achilles heel for our team this year. But able to get on the board before halftime, which I thought was pretty big. We haven't been able to do that consistently this year. And then, stayed in the game as well as we could and wound up losing 35-20.
Yeah, you're right. And, the score that we were down, I don't feel like is indicative of how we played the entire game. Because you mentioned had a tough time throughout this year, being able to get things going in the first half. And it's really unfortunate because we had a really nice opening drive and end up failing on fourth down as we got close to the red zone. I would really like to have been able to convert that and get some points on the board early because I'd love to see how our guys respond to that and get ourselves going because we haven't been able. We just didn't play very good complementary football. Once we would get, a good a stop defensively or a good drive going offensively, some other phase of the game would kind of stub their toe. We got a really good 3 and out when it was a 14-7 game, and we throw the pick six. We go on a scoring drive, and then our defense gives up a couple of big plays for a touchdown. So, that's a big learning experience for our guys of understanding the importance of every drive and be able to play complementary.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, we had 3 turnovers, which it's hard to win a football game when you have 3 turnovers, especially when the other team has 0. One of those, I will say, was pretty questionable in the kickoff return. I didn't feel like Tyler actually fumbled the football. I felt like that was a huge moment in the game. Our defense had been out there for the last 6 minutes of the first quarter, had to turn right around and go back out there defensively and try to guard with a short field. That moment, that sequence of events, and then one I really thought was backbreaking was in the third quarter where we thought we had an interception, and turns out that we had back-to-back penalties. We had them buried 3rd and long. We thought we had an interception. We had a penalty called against us, 20 yards in penalties, and then like 2 plays later, they were in the end zone. And I was like, oh, man, that felt like a moment where we were going to jump back in the ball game after Elijah picked that off. But, those are the moments of adversity I know that you've talked about with the team about being able to overcome and put together winning sequences instead of sequences that prevent you from winning the game.
Yeah, and that's the big picture stuff. But the thing that we've got to do a better job of that we can control is what's the root of that. The thing that I'll always compliment our team on is no matter what the adversity is, our guys are going to play hard. But what we've got to do a better job of, and the message that we're trying to preach going forward as we finish this season, and then for the younger guys that are going to return for us next year, is we can't let the adversity affect our focus. And that's kind of the root of the problem that we're trying to solve right now and have those guys grow up with.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of the standouts and highlights from Friday night's game. All right, Coach, we'll start with the quarterback who had a really good night overall. I think he was 13 of 19, probably from that standpoint, his most efficient passing night of the season. Had his completion percentage up in the 60s, threw for 181 yards, 2 scores, had 48 yards rushing, I believe, on the ground, over 200 yards of total offense. 3 total touchdowns, probably his most productive game of the season from that standpoint.
Yeah, and it continues to be the same trend that we've talked about in the last few weeks about how more comfortable and confident he's getting in the offense and being able to make reads and the game starting to slow down for him in all aspects. Really proud of some of the throws that he made. Made some big third down throws that kept us on the field. The first touchdown pass, man, that's a big time throw he made. Didn't pass protect it great. Got to slide up, work around pressure, and then cut one loose down the middle of the field. So really proud of how he's able to progress throughout the season. Of course, having Andrew Russell back and the plays that he's making helps with that confidence as well.
Yeah, we'll get to Andrew in just a second. One thing I want to ask you as a former quarterback self, when you see the first touchdown pass, he took a pretty good shot on that play. And can you kind of speak to, what's going through your mind as a quarterback where you're going to get hit right as like you're going to get popped right when you deliver that football? Can you kind of speak to how difficult it is to stay in the pocket and make that throw?
It is because you've had to see yourself be successful with that. And, we try to simulate that as much as possible at practice. Anytime we're working our drop footwork and I'm forcing him to move in the pocket and feel that stuff, or we're throwing routes on there and we've got some hand shields that's contacting him. So we do as much of that as possible, but, it's a little different when the bullets start flying. And the best comparison that I've got for Waylon and maybe the best compliment is, a few years back when Case Kinnaman was a starter as a sophomore. His first instinct would have been to run out of there. I had a really tough time taming him with that, and Waylon seems a little more natural with it. So that's a huge tip of the cap to him, and a tribute to how well he takes coaching.
Yeah, moving on here to Andrew Russell. He had a season high in catches and yards. First receiver to eclipse the 100-yard mark this season for us. Kind of made that a commonplace last year with 4 different guys doing it for us last year. But he had a huge night. The big thing that stuck out to me, obviously, he had 2 more touchdown catches too. But the thing that really stuck out to me the last 3 weeks as he's gotten kind of ingrained into the offense is when he catches the football, it's going for 15, 20 yards a pop. It's big play. Like it's big plays every time. It's chunk plays or it's touchdowns in the end zone.
Yeah, and the impressive thing about Andrew is it's different ways he's doing that. We saw him catch a couple deep down the middle. We saw him take some short in the flats and make a guy miss and go. So he's dynamic no matter how he gets the ball. And that makes him more dangerous because he's not just a one-trick pony with what we're doing. We can throw it to him short, like we said. We've hit him on RPOs. We've done some double move stuff with him. We've stretched the ball down the middle. So he's versatile and he's dynamic for us. And we just got to keep finding ways to get him the ball because, like you're saying, good things happen when he's got it in his hands.
Elsewhere, offensively, we've given a few linemen shout outs the last few weeks. One of our starting guards, Nicholas Bowman, has really progressed here in the back half of the season. And I believe he's a sophomore as well. Is that correct?
No, he's a junior, but first time starter.
Gotcha. It's another one of those young guys.
That's right. That's right. And almost when you think about him, almost one of the most unlikely of stories. Because he was a guy that he just keeps showing up and keeps getting better and better. And at this time last year, when he was a JV player, you thought it would probably be one of those guys that would be a contributor as a senior. But the way things have shaken out, he's been forced into action. But when you go about things the way he's done it, he just keeps showing up, keeps applying himself when it comes to individual drills, keeps grinding it out in the weight room, and he's the product that you're going to be. And he's going to end up being a 2-year starter next year that's a really reliable.
Coach, defensively, one of the standouts was River Schote, who's getting back into the mix here after a couple of different injuries. And he was the leading tackler Friday nights, and he's really had to step up without kind of having his counterpart there, Branson, at middle linebacker, and had a good night Friday night.
He did. He did some good stuff. Now, by no stretch of the imagination was he perfect, because he's got some stuff he's got to get coached up. Coach Abernathy's working with that. And really the thing with River is just seeing it and trusting himself. He so often, whether it be overanalyzes things or just second guesses himself, gets there just a step too late. And I know he's really working hard to try to improve that, and we've seen that throughout the season, him progressing. But again, he's finding himself in the right spot, and we're hoping that as he gets more comfortable and confident in the scheme, that those 5-6 tackles that he's making at linebacker depth are going to be at a 1-yard loss. And that's kind of the challenge that we've got in front of him and what he's pushing himself towards. But again, a good night, he's where he's supposed to be. But if he can get himself there a step faster and really trust in himself, he's going to be an outstanding player for us.
Elsewhere at the linebacker position, at outside linebacker, Chris Ewert's had a really good couple of weeks here, back-to-back weeks. Really good job pressuring the quarterback. And I know that's in a 3-4 scheme, you're not just relying on your defensive linemen to apply pressure to the quarterback. You rely on your outside linebackers a lot in a 3-4 scheme. And he really affected the quarterback's ability to throw the football. There were 3 different occasions, one where he batted the ball down in the quarterback's face, and 2 other times he affected the quarterback's arm trajectory or how he was throwing the football and forced incompletions. And previous week he had a sack and was just disruptive in the backfield. He seems to be getting more and more comfortable in that role of playing outside linebacker.
Yeah, and I don't know if people understand how difficult of a position that is in our scheme, because you have to be so versatile. One playing run technique, and the next play you may have to be dropping out in coverage where you're playing the flats or the curl zone. But Chris has really, really done a good job, and like you said, the last couple of weeks it's really shown up. And I think that so a lot of times sacks or forced fumbles in the backfield get the stat attention. But if you're affecting the quarterback, like you just talked about, that's so valuable for our defense, because if we get a hit while he's throwing the ball and it's an incompletion, I mean, that's no different than a pass breakup in our minds. Or if you get a tit, it's the same idea. So he's been disruptive. That helps our secondary when we're able to do that. And Chris has kind of become one of those emotional energy type leaders on the defensive side of the ball. You see his body language. He plays with a lot of passion. So our guys feed off of that.
Yeah, and then finally, defensively, Jackson Lowry had 2 more tackles for loss. And I feel you said last week you called it a broken record, but he has been one of the most consistent performers for our football team all season long. Adding 2 more to that, he's having it's between 2 or 3 a week now the last few weeks, and just high motor, disruptive, and he now has 10.5 tackles for loss on the season. That puts him third, I guess 4th all time for regular season. Cordarius Tarver, who was a senior the very first season that we had varsity football back in 2012, had 11. Hunter Lanier and Levi Lowry are tied all time with 12. He's got a chance for the last 2 weeks to stamp his name forever in the record books if he can continue with the consistent pressure that he's putting on opposing offenses.
Yeah, and the impressive thing about Jackson is it's the way that he does it. Like, it's never just one thing. Like, he splits double teams sometimes. Sometimes it's just relentless pursuit where he may run it down from behind. Sometimes he just muscles his way through there. It's like there's no one way to game plan against him, I feel like. He's got a lot in his repertoire. and it goes back to what he is fundamentally, what his skill set is, and the type of energy that he plays with.
All right, when we come back, we will start to preview our game versus North Murray, which will be our second trip across the Conasauga to Chatsworth, as we'll take on a team we haven't faced in a couple of years, but familiar for sure. And then during the break, we will have this week's senior spotlight. It'll be senior number 23, Hudson Sherritt. Stick around. This is the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home.
This is your Alpha Insurance Player of the Week.
Whether you're looking for a taste of classic seasonal sweetness or need to satisfy your candy cravings, DQ has something for every fan this season. So hurry into DQ on Cleveland Highway today and see what else is in store for fans all season long.
Introducing BioLite, the world's first IV in a bottle. BioLite is a medical-strength hydration solution physician-formulated to help relieve the discomforts of dehydration, like upset stomach and fatigue. If you want powerful hydration relief, try it today.
Junior's Building Materials, the Tri-State's headquarters with building products for builders, contractors, remodeling projects, and do-it-yourselfers. Junior's is the largest dealer stocking Trex Decking, the world's #1 composite decking brand. Trex isn't just boards and balusters, but a new way to live outdoor and virtually maintenance-free. For all your building or remodeling needs, shop Junior's Building Materials.
Junior's Building Materials, we always come through for you.
Now for this week's Senior Spotlight.
My name's Hudson Sherritt, number 23, and I play defensive back and fullback. Probably just recently, we were playing LFO, was on a kick return, and my guy came at me, blocked him, and took him out of bounds and pancaked him. And those don't come often, so when those do happen, it's pretty fun. I just got tired of watching from the stands, and so I wanted to go out there and do it myself. It was the first few weeks of practice, and Coach T was pretty new here, and we didn't know him all too well, but I want to say it was Kobe got a pick in practice, and he just sprinted out into the field and went and dapped him up and everything, so that was pretty funny to see. I feel like we're all pretty good friends. We all know each other pretty well, and we're all just pretty good with each other. I like to fish, hang out with friends, and I love running track as well. Definitely my dad, he's shown me that no matter what I do, as long as I work hard and strive for what I want to achieve, I'm going to get it in life. As a player, God definitely motivates me the most. I do everything in His name, so that's why I do what I do. After high school, I want to go to UNG, and after that, I want to join the Army.
Welcome back to the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. Coach, this week traveling to North Murray as we have finished out the home portion of our schedule. Back on the road for the second time in 3 weeks to Chatsworth. And this is a football team that has consistently gotten better this year, but looks totally different from an offensive standpoint from the last time we've seen them. Really different than they've looked at all in the last pretty much the whole the whole Pogue era over there. They've been mostly spread, and this is a fun kind of throwback offense to watch if you like watching, kind of old school I-form, triple option, and the quarterback that they moved over from receiver, Hudson Hewlett, he's the catalyst of that offense.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for a couple of reasons. One, it's different. You don't see it much anymore. So there's some teaching points with our kids that they're not used to seeing. So that makes it difficult. And then you got a quarterback as dynamic as what he is. It adds a whole nother element because there's 3 different guys that can be carrying the ball on one play a lot of times. And they do a really good job of mixing that stuff up. and giving you different looks of the way that they run the football. And then you can't fall asleep on the back end because here they come with a play action right over your head with that same run action. So it's definitely an interesting challenge for our defense. But the main thing that they've got to do is we felt like towards the end of the game last week, Union County started to lean on us. They had a big physical offensive line, and we didn't do a good enough job matching that. And North Murray is similar in that way with their offensive line. So we're challenging our guys this week. We've got to be more physical than them, and we cannot let them have sustained drives that just wear us down.
Yeah, one thing that stuck out to me that you just mentioned is being disciplined defensively, because this is a team that's only thrown the ball about 5 to 10 times a game at times, and it's not like this is a quarterback who he's a converted quarterback. It's not like he's come up through the ranks like someone who's been playing quarterback since he was in 5th grade. So he's obviously throws it well enough for them to throw the football, but like it'll almost lull you to sleep. I've played against teams like this. I remember playing against Woodland High School back in the 2000s. They used to run the straight T, foot to foot splits, and they'd run it 40 times a game and then just pop one right over the top of your head. And I think that does, and it's crazy to say. We grew up watching offenses like this in the 90s, but this is now considered an unorthodox offense.
Yeah, it definitely is. When it's all like when we get quarterbacks to us for the stuff that we do, short yardage and goal line situations, I find myself having to teach our young guys how to get up underneath the center. So, and you're seeing that with them. That's where they are the majority of the time, with 2 backs in the backfield, in some instances 3, and that Maryland eye that they like to get into. So it's definitely something different, and they're coming right at you.
Yeah, looking at kind of all time, this has been a team that we've historically struggled with, but it's a team that the games have been far more competitive. Almost kind of reminds me a little bit of our history with Adairsville, where early on the games weren't that close. But in the recent matchups, as we had them on the schedule, I think 2020 and 2021, they were much more competitive games the last 2 times that we played them. I remember the 21 game being kind of a shootout. I think the final was like 52-38 or something like that. This is a team that the last few times we've played them, it's been a very competitive game and a game that we've been able to match up with them in. I know none of our guys remember that. I think, or most of them probably don't. But when you're playing a team like this that historically has been kind of a rivalry, but you haven't seen in a couple of years, do you have to remind your players of like, hey, this is a rivalry? Or I feel like the senior classes from the last couple of years would have been like, we don't like those guys, but some of these like our young sophomores probably they've never seen them.
Well, they have and they haven't. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Murray County, even though they haven't been in our region, a lot of our guys playing multiple sports, they're playing them as non-region games in baseball and basketball. So they're doing that. They've played each other when they were in the feeder systems, the North Whitfield versus Bagley. So they're familiar with them in that way. And then you combine the fact that other than Northwest Whitfield, this is the closest game when you look at it on a map. It's only about a 15-minute drive over there from our campus to theirs. So there's a lot of factors there involved. So no, it's not taking a lot of stoking on my part to remind these guys that this is a rivalry.
Yeah, it should be fun. I think it's a lot of fun finishing with 2 teams that I would consider to be rivalries, with North Murray and Ringgold. I know our guys are very familiar with Ringgold. And so I think it should be a fun game Friday nights. And when we come back, we will continue to talk about this game, but from the aspect of it being televised, a fun opportunity for our program once again. So we'll have that coming up. During the break, you will see this week's Coaches Spotlight, which will be Coach Will Douglas in his first year with Coahulla Creek High School. as a coach, I might add. So stick around. This is the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home.
Your roof is the most critical part of your home, especially in the heat of the summer. That's why OC Roofing Systems is offering free roof inspections all summer long. Families in Ellijay have trusted OC Roofing Systems time and time again for our award-winning service and countless 5-star reviews. Protect your roof this summer. Visit ocroofingsystems.com today and schedule your free roof inspection.
Nature never repeats itself, and neither does Mohawk's Techwood hardwood flooring. Techwood is unique and one of a kind. Your floor should be long-lasting and beautiful, like the relationships you create at home. Choose Techwood for a stunning, natural hardwood floor for everyday performance. More moments are made on Mohawk.
I'm Coach Will Douglas. I coach running backs, and this is my first year at Coahulla Creek High School. So a big part of this was just me playing here and knowing Coach Carter, knowing what he is and how he coaches. And a big part of that was he pulled me, he gave me the offer, and I was thinking about it, thinking about who I would even want to be around, and I know the coaching staff, I know the team, I've been a part of the team, I want to build the team, and I was all for it, ready to go. It's been humbling because of the wisdom and knowledge that they bring to the game. It makes me realize that there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than what I knew of. So really just humbling, really humbling. I would definitely be a lead by example. That's how I played, that's how I leaded on this team, as a lead by example. So I just automatically rolled that into how I coach, definitely lead by example. I've got a lot of good moments, but definitely my favorite would be the winning touchdown pass, third overtime against Northwest my junior year. I love hunting. I really enjoy fishing, and the only other hobby I really got is cooking. I really enjoy cooking. 100% me. There's no doubt in my mind it's me.
Welcome back to the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home. Coach, I made it to the finish line with my voice here. It's fading, but we made it. Thank you, viewers, for bearing with us here during the show today. But we've got a unique opportunity once again. This is the 4th consecutive year that we've had a game televised on the CW Chattanooga. It's a lot of fun when you're able to have that to promote your program. I never had the fortune of playing on TV, but I know when you were in high school, you got to play on the old CSS channel, which was pretty cool. And it really just gives a huge opportunity to promote the program, what we've accomplished in the last few years. And, for you as a head coach, what do you see, most like I pretty much see it all as being beneficial, but what sticks out the most to you as a coach to have this opportunity?
I would say the experience that our kids get, and that's not just the football players, right? I mean, they've got the cameras working the sidelines, so our cheerleaders, our band, our student section, our whole community is getting seen there. And then, like you said, that people in the area are continuing to see the progress that's been made at Coahulla Creek. This year's been a tough year for us, but everybody that we talk to kind of understands the youth in our program, and understanding that we're still striving to be the best that we can and put the best product out there is very important, and being able to see our kids work in that way. So it's really cool from all those aspects, I think.
Yeah, as we mentioned, fourth straight year. We've had a pair of games at home, and I think the last time we had one on the road was at Ringgold back in 22. But we are 2-1 all time on TV, so I'm hoping we can keep a winning record here and knock off North Murray for what would be the first time in school history, and should be a lot of fun. I know you've already talked about they're kind of already gone through the game prep and stuff with you like that. Does it almost make you feel like you're a college coach when you're got the TV crews meeting up with you to get game notes and stuff early in the week?
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And it's not to be about me. I'm just the one getting to share the information about our kids. Because I want them to be able to talk about them like they've been at practice for a few weeks and understand those guys. So that definitely does cool. I mean, you mentioned getting to play on a high school game when I was younger, when it was on TV. The moment that it kind of hit me when it was real, that I'm sure it'll do with our guys is, you're standing there warming up and there's a camera guy like laying on the ground underneath you as you're warming up. So just cool stuff like that I hope our guys are going to get to experience. I mean, here I am in my 30s, still remember that. So hopefully our guys will get that same experience and have those same memories.
Yeah, one note on that, with it being televised, kickoff does move up 30 minutes. I think officially kickoff is at 7:05. Yeah, I think they come on the air at 7, do a little 5-minute pregame show deal, and then kickoff will be at 7:05. So get there a half hour earlier than you usually do. Just a reminder, or you will show up and the first quarter will probably be over if you get there at normal time. So plan to be there a little earlier, and if you're going to watch it from home, we will post the link on our social media pages because I know we've got some family, friends and family that support our program that don't live locally in the Chattanooga TV market area. So there's a live stream link where you can watch it. So we'll post that. And as a reminder, no game on the Coahulla Creek Sports Network this year. We tried that last year and it did not go well. The CW Chattanooga sucked the bandwidth out of the stadium, and our live feed greatly suffered as a result of it. We had to go off air a couple of times, so we're not even going to try that this year. So enjoy the sights and sounds that you get with the television broadcast. So Coach, thank you for your time. For Coach Drew Carter, I'm Brooks Carter. We'll be back here same time, same place next week, recapping our game versus North Murray and previewing our regular season finale versus Ringgold. So thanks for tuning in. This has been the Coahulla Creek Football Show presented by Julian Peoples Funeral Home.